This is CBC Here and Now.
Are you excited to be back at school?
Yeah.
How you feel, Mom?
I'm excited more than there.
It's the first day of school for many in Newfoundland and Labrador. We'll check in with the sights and sounds at St. John Bosco. That story coming up.
Today also meant back to campus for many students, and for a lot of them it's a first. How they feel, that's just ahead.
Well, all eyes are on Hurricane Larry. That's headed our way. We're going to break down the impacts.
It's time for a change and people want to change.
They're not necessarily voting how their parents voted.
Freedom, fairness, responsibility, and respect.
A good challenge for Goody Hutchings, the Liberal incumbent.
3 new candidates are calling for change in the riding of Long Range Mountains.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Anthony Germain.
And I'm Carolyn Stokes. We begin with Back to School. Well, it's a big day for students, parents, and teachers in the province. After months of freedom and friends and summer, thousands made their way back to the classroom for face-to-face learning today. Here Now's Jeremy Eaton was at one of the schools this morning, right before the first bell rang.
In a time where the new normal has become a phrase loved and loathed, for these students walking back into the classroom on the first day, this is normal. It's what many have been used to for years.
I get to see all my friends this year again, and I'm just excited to be back.
There's nothing better than the first day of school. Fresh starts, new beginnings, people are recharged after the summer, and there's just a lot of excitement in the air.
At St. John Bosco, the dance beats inspire these young feet as they move quickly from the loving arms of parents into the classroom for learning.
We dance them into the school year with music, and we dance them out at the end of the school year.
Are you excited?
St. John Bosco houses kindergarten to grade 9 students. That's something you don't see at many schools in St. John's. Neither is this. The Minister of Education showing up on the first day to dish out a few high fives. What grade are you going to?
Grade 1.
Are you excited?
Yeah.
This year, masks are still optional when students return to the building, but encouraged.
Do you want to go up through there?
Are you excited to be back at school?
Yeah.
How you feel, Mom?
I'm excited more than there.
While some flowed in full of smiles, others rushed past the media to greet their teachers, a group who have been eagerly waiting for this day.
The teachers are ready, they're excited, they've had a good summer break, but they're excited to start up on all the initiatives we have planned for the school year, and everyone's in a great mood.
Today, a global pandemic took a backseat to a special and maybe a little scary day for parents and students. But hugs were handed out, a few tears were shed, and there was no shortage of pictures. Hopefully, these ones turn out better than this reporter's first day of kindergarten, circa 1984. Jeremy Eaton, CBC News, St. John's.
That's pretty cute. Well, as Jeremy mentioned there, masks are recommended in schools, but they're not mandatory. An infectious disease specialist says because those under 12 can't get vaccinated yet, it's important to keep them and other vulnerable people top of mind.
Our best defense is to keep the case numbers low in the community, whether people have symptoms or not. And to do that, a good combination for another while longer, if people are comfortable, of masking, a bit of distance, staying home when sick, and if available, getting access to testing to identify cases early is so important in keeping us going in the right direction.
Well, now to the bigger students. K-12 students weren't the only ones. It's also the first day of classes for MUN and CNA students. And for many, today was their first time setting foot on campus grounds. Here Now's Enrica Wilhelm went back to school today to talk about those first day feelings.
It's almost like we've stepped back in time to pre-pandemic 2019. This is what campus looked like last year. Now, MUN and CNA in St. John's are buzzing and parking lots are full. Students are excited for in-person classes.
Really good. You know, being online, online was good. You know, everyone here is very helpful, but having that contact, you know, face to face, it it really helps.
The campus is really awesome. The faculties and the classrooms are really nice.
They all are very friendly and really exciting, to be honest. Something I've definitely been looking forward to. It's good to finally be able to see other students studying the same thing you are and connect in that way, you know. I'm looking forward to having classmates I can see and you know, just ask a question in class and get that instant feedback. I'm also looking forward to a lot of activities on campus, you know, like all the societies, the clubs and the sports, you know. That's definitely something that's going to be pretty exciting for me.
According to MUN, the number of both domestic and international students has grown from last year. Students I spoke with say they most missed the interaction with instructors and classmates.
Honestly, just like the learning experience, and I feel like that's kind of the same thing with everyone. Like, we've all been out for so long, well, I'm eager just to get back into it and try to find some sort of normalcy, some sort of routine.
It was a bit daunting to go and ask for email help, but I'm looking forward to being able to finally connect with professors.
It feels really, really great. The only thing, online can be a bit not only burdensome, it's just kind of annoying, you know. When you get on campus, there's a sense of collectivity and you kind of feel motivated to learn and meet people. So finally you get to know who I'm studying with and make contacts, friends for life, and yeah, you know, that's the best thing about college. You meet people that genuinely share the same interests as you.
Official numbers aren't out just yet, but there are about 5,000 students doing in-person classes every day here at the MUN St. John's campus. Henrike Wilhelm, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, here are some more numbers. Today's COVID-19 numbers. Public Health announced 9 new confirmed cases, and Alert Level 3 has been expanded to include more of the Northern Peninsula. Here Nazmar Quinn reports.
More of the Northern Peninsula has moved to Alert Level 3. Communities along routes 432 north to Mainbrook and routes 433, 434, and 438 have been included today, from Hare Bay on the Northern Peninsula to Canada Bay. 4 of today's 9 new cases are in the Labrador-Grenfell region, still on the Northern Peninsula. There are now 12 confirmed cases in that cluster and 2 new presumptive positive cases in the region. Public health officials are still investigating that cluster, which involves hundreds of contacts, and the source is under investigation. Elsewhere on the island, there are 2 new cases in the western region. Both are close contacts of previously known cases. The eastern region has 3 new cases, all related to travel. There are currently 40 active cases of COVID-19 in the province, and 1 person remains in hospital. Public health officials are encouraging anyone who's eligible to get vaccinated, and anyone experiencing even 1 symptom to get tested. They say vaccination is likely to keep anyone who becomes infected out of hospital. Mark Quinn, CBC News, St. John's.
It was a beautiful day out there today. Ridge of high pressure dominating the weather to the south, but extending a little bit further north for most of the island today. We do have some cloud cover rolling in for the western portion of Labrador, and that is going to bring some showers as we head through the evening hours tonight. But what a beautiful day. 21 degrees in St. John's, 23 towards Terra Nova, 22 in Corner Brook, and then those temperatures into the teens across parts of Labrador and coastal areas into the cooler temperatures. Now, as we head through the night tonight, we're going to see that rain track further east across the Big Land and eventually make it towards the coast as we get into the early morning hours on Thursday and into the first half of Thursday morning. But temperatures tonight pretty beautiful into the teens and low teens, low-lying areas a little bit cooler, and those light winds as well. So let's look at the forecast for tonight. We'll talk about tomorrow when I come back.
Thank you, Ashley. To other news now, police are investigating the sudden death of a woman in Happy Valley, Goose Bay. The RCMP says the 29-year-old woman was found dead in a home in that town yesterday. There will be an increased police presence in the area of Mesher Street as that investigation continues. RCMP officers from Forensic Identification Services and the Major Crimes Unit have been brought in to help. The Office of the Chief Medical Examiner is also involved in this investigation.
Well, in the Long Range Mountains, Liberal Goody Hutchings has held the seat there for 6 years. But in the vast riding that includes dozens of communities, 3 new candidates are saying voters want a change. Here Now's Colleen Connors has this report on the federal election candidates.
Goody Hutchings just returned from a campaign road trip up the Great Northern Peninsula. She's pushing the Liberals' COVID relief success and rate mitigation plan to potential voters. While she makes calls from her headquarters, the People's Party of Canada candidate rallies around his voters at a small media presser in Stephenville.
The Liberal government is rotten to the core.
Shelley says he's against vaccine passports. He's campaigning door to door and speaking with potential voters.
I would say we've canvassed 300 or 400 people so far. And I would say that it is a 95% overwhelming decision that people want to see a big change. They don't want to vote Trudeau. They don't trust O'Toole.
NDP's Kayla Mintz hammers her first sign in the ground in Corner Brook, a local who decided to put her name forward, grabbing the younger voters in Long Range Mountains.
I think people really see that when the NDP, the role that they play in Parliament to push the Liberals to do better for people, it really resonates with them. And so I'm getting a lot of people who are excited about change in this riding, a lot of young people, which is really exciting, some voting for the first time, some who are really active online and who are deciding to take it now to, to the streets and really want to see change in the riding. They're not necessarily voting how their parents voted.
We've knocked on literally thousands of doors.
Anstey, a parent of 4, finds face-to-face the most effective campaign strategy. Her face is everywhere in the riding. She says she wants to drive the economy, keep people working in the province, and push the Liberals out.
Now is the time. In 2019, there was a gentleman who ran. He didn't have a campaign. He was a no-name, a staffer on the ballot, and he got 11,000 votes. So that tells me that there's definitely room, and it's time for a change, and people want to change.
Are you worried?
Every election you worry, right? That's just what elections are. You always play like you're 20 points behind. But look, my response in the communities that I've gone in has been, Goody, we see you, we love you, thank you for the work that we do, we look forward to working with you again. And look, I want to say thanks and hats off to all the candidates for putting their name forward. This isn't an easy battle, right? Any election, be it municipal, provincial, federal, and to see that we have 3/4 of the candidates that are women, hats off to them for putting their name forward.
The election is 12 days away. Colleen Connors, CBC News, Corner Brook.
Federal Search and Rescue defended its decision-making today at a search and rescue inquiry in Makkovik. It said a number of factors were at play, including weather as well as available helicopters. Burton Winters died 9 years ago after leaving his grandmother's house on a snowmobile. Many in the community believe the teenager missed a trail turnoff, unintentionally riding towards the sea ice. The CBC's Heidi Adder is at the inquiry.
The Department of National Defense stood by its actions today. Lieutenant Colonel James Marshall presented evidence for the D&D. Marshall says the search was provincial jurisdiction even though it was over federal waters. He said weather conditions and a lack of assets contributed to the Joint Resource Coordination Center, or JRCC, not being able to help sooner. There should have been 2 Hercules planes for search and rescue missions in Halifax, but both were down. In Goose Bay, there should have been 2 Griffin helicopters, but one was in maintenance and the other had an oil line leak. In Gander, there was a Cormorant helicopter, but that wasn't sent, and that's a problem for the Winters family. Marshall said sending that helicopter meant leaving another area without for 27 hours. The family's lawyer, Tom Williams, said it doesn't make sense, waiting in case of an emergency while there was a missing boy in the same province. Marshall pointed to the weather as well, saying that was a factor. Official records say there was twice the minimum requirements for visibility, but Marshall says that reading refers to the conditions at the airport, not over the area's mountains. Local private helicopters were able to search. Marshall defended that, saying that they could stay under the clouds. He says once the private helicopters were up, the D&D was no longer needed. He says the D&D was called again when the Ski-Doo had been found and it was getting dark. The Griffin can search at night, so it was dispatched along with the Aurora airplane from Halifax. Tomorrow, we're expecting to hear from the provincial officials about their side of the search. Heidi Adder, CBC News, Makovic.
Only special people can get a road closed in downtown St. John's. Cue the children. Alan Doyle helped Shalloway Choir put together a new video. They say it's the right video for the right time. An exclusive look, a sneak peek, coming up.
We're going to turn our attention to Hurricane Larry, set to impact parts of eastern Newfoundland Friday night into Saturday. I'll break down all the details.
From there, we're going to be taking the information, the very latest from Ashley. We're going to put it into practice, how to prepare for whatever Hurricane Larry is set to deliver. We're going to have those details coming up.
I guess we're in the calm before the storm today. A lovely day in St. John's anyways. Nice warm temperatures, bit of sunshine.
Lots of sunshine, beautiful temperatures. It's been a while, I feel like, since, well, I mean, we saw some sun on the weekend, but...
we've been soggy for a few days.
It definitely has been. But yeah, absolutely beautiful day. Let's take a look at the temperatures right now and a beautiful evening. 21 degrees in St. John's, same thing through Terra Nova, Badger, Corner Brook. Temperatures along the northern portion of the island, a little bit cooler though into the teens. and then single digits for the coastal areas of Labrador, 9 degrees right now, and Nain 8 in Makovic. So what we have right now is an area of low pressure to the south. That's what's keeping things calm and clear for the most part for most of the island. We do have an area of low pressure just offshore. That's leading to some cloud cover for the northern peninsula and just edging for areas of Brown Bonavista North. And then we've got their next system that's rolling in some showers through the day or through the night tonight rather for areas in Lab West. And that is going to continue to track across Labrador as we head through the night tonight, bring some periods of rain, which could be heavy at times towards the coast and through central Labrador as we get into tomorrow afternoon. Also the risk we could hear a few rumbles of thunder with this one, and then it'll continue to track across the rest of Labrador. Now most of the day tomorrow is going to be absolutely gorgeous for the island. We'll see some clouds on the increase. This is around 7 o'clock when we start to see some showers and periods of rain develop for the southwest. And that is going to continue for most of western Newfoundland as well as southern areas. And it's going to tap into some of the moisture which is going to be brought in by Hurricane Larry, and that is going to continue, as you can see, right through Friday afternoon. This is about 6 o'clock on Friday. So temperatures tomorrow will be absolutely beautiful. Another nice day, 23 to 24 degrees, even warmer than what we're seeing today. Generally light winds, southeasterlies about 20 kilometers per hour, a little stronger gusty winds to the west, and then up across Labrador, there's where that rain is. But your temperatures all overall pretty nice. Towards Corner Brook, you're looking at a high near 21. So this is that rainfall this will take us through to Friday morning, about 10 to 20 millimeters. We could see some higher amounts, and it is because we're tapping into some of that moisture. So this is the moisture from Larry moving up in from southern areas of the Gulf, and it's going to track pretty much east. This is Hurricane Larry here. So that's all that moisture that I'm talking about for Friday, and then it'll eventually track across the Avalon through the afternoon. So this is the latest that I have right now in the track. The update will be at about 6:30, so in a couple of minutes from now as far as that track goes. But right now we've got it just clipping southeastern portions of the Avalon. Now, what does that mean? The track is very dependent on where we see what. So to the left or right side of the track, that's where you see the strongest winds and the storm surge. To the left of the track is where you see the heaviest rain. It's still going to be windy, but the heaviest rain. So right now models pointing at somewhere between 20 to as much as 50 plus millimeters of rain falling between 10 p.m. Friday night and early Saturday morning. So now the track, like I said, we're going to have to look at the track very closely because this is the models, the different models. So the current track right now was just to the, just clipping. If it tracks further towards the Avalon, that's when we start to see that heavier wind, the strongest winds across more of the Avalon. So this is just an idea. This is one potential. This has the track further to the east. We see the strongest winds, which at this point look like 120 to 140 kilometer per hour, just clipping the southwest. Still going to see strong winds though, anywhere from 90 to 100 kilometer per hour wind gusts through the overnight period and into the early half of Saturday. And then the further west you go, the less amount of wind. Still going to be breezy though, about 40 to 60 kilometers per hour. Now let's look at what happens to the track if we have it a little bit further towards, say, Clarenville, or rather the Isthmus and then Clarenville. Puts us, the eastern portion of the Avalon, in the heaviest wind gusts. So anywhere from, say, 120 to 140 kilometer per hour wind gusts. These are gusts sustained. You're talking 90 to 110, say. The further west you go, the least amount of wind though, but you're still looking at gusts between 60 to 80 kilometers per hour. Again, the strongest winds overnight, about say midnight to about 5 a.m. Then they move off. By the time we get to 8 a.m. on Saturday, you're already looking at gusts between 60 to 80 kilometers per hour. So really have to pay attention to the track of the storm. Best to prepare for the heaviest, scenario 2, but hope for scenario 1. So that's a look at the latest. I'll have the latest track when it's available when I come back in a little bit. Oh, right. I got so talking about that. But so talking about preparing for it, we're looking ahead to Larry. Most people are wondering the best way to prepare for the hurricane. Here and Now's Chrissy Holmes is standing by with more on that. Chrissy?
Thanks so much, Ashley. There's a lot of details to get your head around and a lot of variables here too. And we got just the person standing by to help us out with anything to prepare for all the variables. Rhonda Kenny, she's the Director of Disaster Management for the Canadian Red Cross Atlantic region. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, Chrissy.
What do you have Friday night?
Yeah, well, we're going to be prepared, prepared for the unexpected.
I mean, this is the thing. I mean, the good part is here we are on a beautiful evening. We actually have time to deal with this right now. So take us through the list. Where do you start when you get ready for a big storm like this?
Yeah, so one of the advantages that we do have, or benefits that we do have, is we have time, right? Tonight is a beautiful evening, tomorrow is forecasted to be a great day, and even Friday morning is going to be nice. So it's time to prepare, right? So bring your family together, talk about, preparedness and planning and what you should do. So, it's before, during, and after the storm. So before, there's lots of things we can do, certainly around our own property, make sure things are secured, like your patio furniture, your barbecues. If you have a trampoline, it's a good idea to take that down.
That's a good
hanging
one.
Plants, really secure your property from loose and debris items in the event that the wind does come up, and we don't want those things flying around, right? So, and the other thing you need to do is prepare, on a personal level with your family, a preparedness kit. So one of the things that the Canadian Red Cross recommends is that you have a personal preparedness kit, and you could make it a family event. So have such things as, adequate water we recommend like a 72-hour period, food, flashlight, portable radio, any personal, documents or items that you would have in the event that you had to be evacuated from your location.
And the reason that we're here standing by this personal preparedness kit, because when I started to go through it here, I was like, you really do need that thing ready to go. And one thing that you pointed out there, the important documents, it feels like it's never been more important. What are you going to put in that little case before you go this time?
Yeah, so this is very much based on individual and family needs, right? So it's always a good idea to have extra copies of things, especially medically related things, and of course, always a good idea to have some cash as well.
Cash in case the power goes out.
Yeah, and not everyone I know has a preparedness kit, but it's a good opportunity to have a family activity where you involve your children, your community to help put one together and have it close in the event that you had to move and evacuate. And also a good idea that while you're taking care of your own individual and family needs, that you keep an eye out for your neighbors. They may need some support or assistance in locking down some of those items and helping, really helping out your neighbor as well.
So when we're talking about a lot of wind, one of the highest impact potential scenarios that Ashley just laid out, gusts up to 140. We're talking 20 to 40 millimeters in a pretty short period of time. We got the outside locked down. Once we're hunkered down inside, what's your advice from there in the middle of the storm?
Stay at home. Don't go outside. Stay in your house with your family. And important to have, like we said before, charge up your phone, your electronics, whatever. Have your flashlight, accessible. And stay at home and don't go out until the storm is over. And when the storm is over, still stay at home, because then the key officials really need to ensure that the community is safe, that the roadways are safe.
Yeah, and you got to keep that free so that emergency responders can do their thing. And speaking of that, you guys have been busy. When did you start preparing for this?
Yeah, so when we heard about the hurricane coming, and of course as an organization we're watching the track, so the last certainly 72 hours, we've put our volunteer workforce on standby. So a call out to our volunteers around availability, working with our government partners and municipalities to ensure that we're, they're informed about what our organization is doing. We also have to make sure that we have our stocks and supplies ready in the event that they are going to be deployed. And as well, promoting the importance of personal preparedness.
And you've got all this information online as well. Where can people find that checklist in case they want to keep that handy?
Yeah, so they can go to the Red Cross website, www.redcross.ca/be ready.
So I think you've got us ready. Thank you so much for your time, Rhonda.
Yeah.
Rhonda Kenny, Disaster Management Director with Canadian Red Cross Atlantic Region.
Thank you.
way to protect everyone in a region is to keep the case number low, and you keep the case number low by keeping the vaccination high.
But parts of our province have low vaccination rates, under 60%. Some advice from Dr. Lisa Barrett that's just ahead.
Well, a pocket of the province has tightened its COVID-19 restrictions due to an outbreak tied to low vaccination rates. A cluster of COVID cases has sent communities from Roddickton-Bide Arm to Mainbrook on the Northern Peninsula into Alert Level 3, while the rest of the province is in Alert Level 2. Now, the source of that cluster is still being investigated, and there is a large number of contacts involved. There are 12 active cases in that region right now. Schools there have delayed opening, and the mask mandate is back for indoor public spaces. So we also learned those communities have a much lower vaccination rate than the province overall. Less than 60% of the eligible population in that region are vaccinated, compared to 86% of the province's eligible population, which has received 1 dose. Joining me now is Dr. Lisa Barrett, an infectious disease expert and clinician at Dalhousie University. Thank you so much for being here.
Good afternoon.
Well, the mayor of Roddickton, Bide Arm, is saying this appearance of the Delta variant is a wake-up call for residents to be vaccinated, especially because over half of them are seniors. What are your thoughts on this situation?
Well, we knew it was coming, and Delta variant is more transmittable and does cause more disease in people who are infected, particularly people who are infected and not vaccinated. And when you walk into a community and know that half of that community are people who are older, even if they're vaccinated, those folks are at higher risk of infection. The way to protect everyone in a region is to keep the case number low, and you keep the case number low by keeping the vaccination high. So certainly this is worrisome for that particular population, and the mayor's right, they need to take some action now.
What should people in that area know about the dangers and how they should protect themselves?
This is, although a more transmittable and more disease-causing variant of the virus, it's still the same virus. It spreads in the air when people are close together, when they don't have masks on, they're closer than 6 feet. If they've got symptoms, particularly, they're able to spread the virus. So these are all kind of things we've learned over the last year, and they still hold true. I think it's also important for people to remember vaccines are amazing at preventing hospitalization and death, but they do not completely prevent infection. And therefore, in an area where there are cases, please don't assume that just because you don't have a lot of symptoms and you're fully vaccinated that you couldn't be infected. Good idea to keep masks going, a little bit of distance, and make sure that the vulnerable people around you are protected with masks, at least for the next number of weeks in that area while things are getting straightened out.
Now, the mayor in the area said that she didn't know why the vaccination rate is so low there compared to the rest of the province, but she did say that this cluster is the first time COVID has been in that community. So, we hear a lot about vaccine hesitancy, but what about vaccine complacency? Do you think that could be a factor here?
Well, I won't speak for the area, but certainly it's very easy, especially when we're all very tired of the P word, pandemic, to just think it's never been here, we're safe in my community. Certainly that part, I don't know if it's complacency, but it's maybe a feeling of safety that, as Roddickton is showing us at the moment, is not really warranted. Just because you haven't seen virus in the past, or because case numbers are low in a given week, doesn't mean that things can't change quickly. Vaccines are great, but they do not completely prevent infections, and that's why we have to keep going with the public health measures, remembering that no place has different air and we all have the same noses. Delta doesn't care.
Right. And 3 schools in that area have delayed reopening because of that cluster of cases. But for the rest of the province right now, it was back to class today. Masks aren't mandatory, and we saw today that many students and teachers weren't wearing masks as they were going in and out of the schools. So we have about 40 active cases in the province right now, but we are seeing a steady uptick daily of cases. So how risky do you think is this approach for students?
Well, we know, number one, we're going to see more cases. That's for sure. But hopefully, if most people are vaccinated, we won't see as many hospitalizations, people getting very sick, getting permanent lung damage, in an ICU, or dead. So number one, cases are going to happen, but hopefully less severe. But we also know that there are vulnerable people still in our communities, older folks, people who are immunocompromised, or those who aren't vaccinated yet, including those under 12 folks who are going to be in school who couldn't get vaccinated yet. Our best defense is to keep the case numbers low in the community, whether people have symptoms or not. And to do that, a good combination for another while longer, if people are comfortable, of masking, a bit of distance, staying home when sick, and if available, getting access to testing to identify cases early is so important in keeping us going in the right direction. Looking behind us doesn't serve things well. We've seen BC, we've seen Alberta, we've seen Saskatchewan try to do what we're doing in Atlantic with opening up the way we're opening up, and that hasn't gone quite so well. So if we're going to do this, we need to make sure we have great markers for when it's time to to bring more restrictions back into place and to do it early. Delta moves fast, shorter incubation time, which means a shorter time between infection and transmitting to others. And we need to be very respectful of that, regardless of vaccination rates, for another while longer until those under 12s are vaccinated.
Great advice there. Dr. Lisa Barrett, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Sometimes I lose. I've been battered, but I never bruise. It's not so bad.
Sound familiar? A special Here and Now exclusive from Shallow Youth Choir. That's ahead.
Well, in France, the largest criminal trial in the country's history is underway. 20 suspects are accused of plotting and carrying out the terrorist attacks across Paris nearly 6 years ago. 14 of those suspects are in court. The others are being tried in absentia.
It's very important for me to face him and to face the other and to say, okay, look at me, I'm there, I'm alive. My son is not there, but through me is still here. We are still standing. you didn't win.
Well, that's a parent whose son was among the 130 people killed when gunmen and suicide bombers struck in November of 2015. Attackers targeted the Bataclan Concert Hall, the National Soccer Stadium, and a number of cafes. ISIS had claimed responsibility, and France imposed a state of emergency that lasted nearly 2 years. The trial is expected to run until next May.
The head of the World Health Organization is repeating his call for vaccine equity in the global fight against COVID-19. He says the world's low-income countries are not getting their share of vaccines.
I will not stay silent when the companies and countries that control the global supply of vaccines think the world's poor should be satisfied with leftovers.
Tedros, the WHO, I should say, has set the goal of having every country vaccinate 40% of their population by the end of the year, and Tedros is asking rich countries to hold off on their booster programs until then. According to WHO, 5.5 billion doses of COVID vaccine have been administered worldwide, with 80% of those in upper and middle income countries.
Well, Canadian tennis players continue to put on a show at the U.S. Open. Canada's Gabriela Dabrowski and her Brazilian partner advanced to the semifinals this afternoon. She's the third Canadian to move on at Flushing Meadows. 19-year-old Leila Fernandez and Felix Auger-Aliassime are also heading to the semis in the singles category. Fernandez joked with reporters about the secret of Canada's success at the tournament.
What is it that they're feeding you up north in Canada that is producing such incredible, inspiring tennis this week?
I would say it's the maple syrup.
Fernandez will play number 2 seed from Belarus on Thursday. Dabrowski and her partner will also play tomorrow. Auger-Aliassime is set to become the first Canadian man to reach the U.S. Open semifinals.
Our next story is about a Saskatchewan woman who felt compelled to save a stranger's life, but in the process of trying to donate part of her liver, she made a life-saving discovery about herself. As Bonnie Allen explains, she now has a new mission.
These were happier times for Cindy Harris, but 6 years later, the woman from Airdrie, Alberta, is fading from liver disease, heavily medicated, sitting on a transplant list.
I go to my doctor every couple of months, and his words are, "We have to find you a new liver."
So in February, her children put out a desperate plea on Facebook. A province over, a stranger, Krista Walker, clicked on it and was called to act.
There was something that spoke to me, something bigger than me that I can't even explain, so I made the call. And 48 hours later, the transplant team, the coordinator, called me and said, "Okay, let's talk."
Walker agreed to donate part of her liver to Harris. The liver regenerates in a matter of weeks. In April, Walker drove to Edmonton for days of testing.
We got about 20 minutes away from the hospital, and the secretary called me. And she said, "Hey, Krista, our radiologist just called, and our radiologist doesn't just call, and they see something suspicious on your left kidney."
Walker's mother had died of kidney cancer at the age of 41. A surgeon quickly removed Walker's tumor, and she's now cancer-free.
His exact words were to me, "You are so lucky." He said, "Krista, people don't just go for a random CT or a random MRI." He said, "You were trying to give somebody the gift of life, and, she turned around and gave it right back to you."
Walker's brush with cancer means she can no longer donate her liver. Disappointing to both women, but Walker is not giving up.
And I said to them, "Boy, you told the wrong person no, because when I get up on a soapbox, I don't get off real easy because this lady needs a liver."
So you're saying, I can't give it to her, but I'm going to find somebody who can.
That's my quest, and I'm not going to stop.
6 months ago, I didn't know this woman and her family. And now she is right up there with my family.
Their connection has already saved one of their lives. Now they're determined to save them both. Bonnie Allen, CBC News, Meadow Lake, Saskatchewan.
We have a special exclusive treat to put a smile on your face, courtesy of a music video that will be released right after Here and Now tonight. Because of the pandemic, concerts were undoable, so Shalloway Youth Choir has been producing videos, and this latest one includes a cameo from an experienced singer and musician who's popular here and away. Have a look.
I've got a smile on my face and I've got four walls around me.
Well, we are so excited to be releasing this video today. It's been a couple of months now waiting to get it out to everybody. I guess back in the late spring when we decided to do this video, we wanted something that our young singers could get excited about, something that was upbeat, energetic, and something that, you know, could give them a common purpose so that, you know, they had something to work towards at the end of the year. Usually we would have a spring concert, which unfortunately didn't happen this year due to the pandemic.
One of the things we talked about was, in difficult times, having a purpose helps you. And, you know, we all feel that what we were doing was really important, so that for the families, for the kids, they actually had something positive to work towards. They had something exciting. They had something that would help them realize that this is just a snapshot in time, and how you deal with things in a snapshot in time is really important. So if you can do something positive and work really hard, that's going to help you get through those times, because your whole life is going to be filled with unexpected things that you have to get through.
And we picked this song Ordinary Day because it's so energetic. The message is about, you know, resilience, and, you know, at the end of the day you just have to say it's all right. It kind of just gives that message to our kids that, you know what, at the end of the day it is going to be okay. And this is a moment in time, and as we continue to move on forward, we will, you know, be stronger and build, and you know, so it was really important for us to be able to take this video and let them have as much fun as they could, which as you can see from the smiles on their faces, they certainly are having a great time.
In this beautiful life, there's always some sorrow. It's a double-edged knife, but there's always tomorrow.
We did have one older choir boy, yes. His name is Little Alan, yes, and he joined us for the video, which was, you know, such a treat. It kind of came when we first decided to do Ordinary Day. We reached out to Alan and asked if it would be okay if we were to get Leslie Hayes to arrange a choral version of the piece, and he was great with that. And then a little while after, I kind of snuck in, well, how would you like to have a solo and join us? And he was so, you know, so gracious and came on board. He met with the kids, talked about the song a little bit, sang his solo, and he actually got to sing a duet in the song with his son. So that was also very special as well. So, you know, he was our newest choir member, and definitely the most energetic choir member that we had.
I've got a smile on my face and I've got four walls around me.
Great job.
Yeah, put a smile on your face.
Yeah, it's like the perfect uplifting song for right now.
Especially nowadays. Now, as I mentioned, that video is going to be released at the end of Here Now in just a few minutes, so you can find that at shalloway.ca.
Well, Well, we've got a nice looking forecast for tomorrow. Temperatures into the 20s, 23 degrees in St. John's, and into the mid-20s as you head towards Grand Falls, Windsor. Same thing for Corner Brook, and then that rain will move in, and it will be heavy at times for parts of the west coast through the overnight. And then we've got that rain up across Labrador as well. Now, Friday is when we are going to see that hurricane move through, Friday night into Saturday morning. But before we get there, the rain will work its way across the island. 23 degrees in Corner Brook, same thing for Gander, 22 in St. John's, and then up across parts of Labrador, your temperatures will be into the teens as well. Into Saturday, things clear out fairly quickly. We'll see weather improving through the day. Winds will die down as well, but you're still going to see the showers at least in the first half of the day, but the winds will pick up for the western portion and northern peninsula. About 15 degrees for St. Anthony, but you're looking at those gusty winds through the day. That's the case across the west coast as well, 16 degrees through the afternoon, and then temperatures across Labrador into the teens. Now, over the next couple of days, once we get into Sunday and then into Monday, we're looking at some pretty nice weather. Temperatures are going to dip a little bit, 19 degrees through the afternoon. The showers expected Monday morning, and then we should actually see some clearing skies as the day goes on. And then overnight lows, though, are starting to dip down to about 9 degrees as the overnight low for you. For central Newfoundland, you're looking at those windy conditions, like I said, on Saturday. And then as we get into Sunday, clear skies, temperatures hovering around the 20-degree mark. Beautiful afternoon for your Sunday. And then Monday, that chance of showers will return. Looking a little bit more gray for western Newfoundland, though, through the day, about 18 degrees. And then again, those overnight lows dipping. Now, up across Labrador, we're going to see temperatures into the teens for eastern Labrador for Sunday and Monday. But it pained me to write that. I wrote wet snow there, possible Monday. Didn't really fit in there, but potential to see some wet snow. You see your temperatures overnight dropping down to 2 degrees. I guess that really does prove that winter is around the corner, isn't it? But wanted to share this photo. Sunrise over Blanc-Sablon. Colin Manor shared that great shot with us. And if you have any weather photos that you would like to share with us, send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Oh, that's great. The sunshine kind of warms you up after you talking about wet snow coming for western Labrador. I'm so not ready for that.
I didn't want to put it in there, but I figured, you know what? Probably should.
Best let people know.
Bit early for wet snow, Ashley.
Sorry.
Rather hear about 150 kilometer-an-hour winds if you
don't
want.
I don't know about that, but
yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it pans out over the next few days for sure. Lots of good advice earlier in the show about preparing for Friday morning when the storm is set to hit, right? Yeah. Friday morning?
Friday night, Saturday morning. So hopefully I'll have a lot more detail. We'll nail down the track a little bit more, but keep an eye on social media.
Yeah.
I'll be posting there.
Great. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining us tonight.
Good night.
Good night.